Welcome, everyone. Megan and I are here to do a fun project with you tonight. And so if you haven't gotten your handout, go ahead and get that. And we will be ready to get started. And so as you're joining, we decided that tonight is a good night for us to finally maybe see you. From our perspective, you get to see us, I guess is the best way. So not that you really are excited about that, but we thought maybe we would join you a few minutes live here. So we're going to switch it around and get ready for our project. So thanks for joining us. And I guess we'll say we'll see you over here in just a second. All right. Tonight we're going to be doing a sunflower, and it's similar to something we did way back in the day, and we thought we would do it again because it's perfect timing. So Megan, do you want to get me my long ruler over there so I can find the dead center? So we are going to be doing several layers for our template, and I don't know how many of you have done multiple layers, but this is kind of a fun project. And so this is one we did in the past. We're going to do it a little bit different tonight. But what we have is a stack here of our fabrics. And these are 18 by 18. Now I put my backing on and it's 22 by 22 because I'm going to use my Quick Easy Binder binding tool and bring it around to the front. So what I have here is a top layer that I have my Templifuse on the back. I have a second layer that I have Templifuse on the back. And then I have my third layer, my batting, and then my backing. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put that back down here. So those are all layered up, ready to go. And remember, we don't put any, this has been sprayed with Starch Savvy. And we don't want to put Starch Savvy on this because our Templifuse won't stick to it. And we don't want to put Starch Savvy on this for the same reason. So those are all layered up. And we need to find the center. So I'm going to use my long ruler here and go from corner to corner. And I believe I'll just mark that with my chalk. We'll go from the other corner. We are going to be using the 8-point crosshair square. And tonight we're actually going to even use 32 different lines. So we're going to be dividing this space up a lot. But first we only need 16. Sorry about that. So I'm going to center this one on that point. And I'm just going to visual the straight up and down. Pretty good at that. And we're going to go this way first. And then I'm going to rotate it so I get the lines that are halfway in between. Now this is a design that rotates on my thumbtack. And as most of you know, if I can, and that's most of the time, I use tape on my thumbtack. So it looks like I got all of those on there. I'm not going to confuse myself with the other ones right this second.
So you currently have 16 lines, is that correct?
16 lines, yes. And I'm just going to put my tack in the middle here. Check it from both directions to make sure it's in the middle. And the template that I'm going to use tonight is one that is a lot of fun. Megan, I want you to hand me our friend up there that could scare us to death. It is from a set called Spin and Echo, and there are 4 templates in that set. And the other 3 are right there. So I'm going to have you hand those to me. Now, I believe you can get just one of them. We're using 16, number 16, but there also is in that set number 1, number 14, and number 6. Okay. Now, one of the projects that I did in the past uses, I know, number 1. I'm not sure which other ones, but it looks like this. It's my spider web. And I just got a dollar store spider. In fact, I got 6 of those spiders for $1. And it's a lot of fun just to play with your templates. And I use, like I said, several of them because, you know, a spider web is not exactly the same all the way around. And then I went back and did a very, very narrow zigzag stitch to kind of emphasize those parts of the web. So that was a lot of fun to do, and makes for an easy, quick project for Halloween, fall, whatever. And so tonight, like I said, I'm going to use number 16, if I can find it. So first, I need to put that on. It's going to either go on 9, 10, 11, or 12. I'm going to check it. And it's going to go on 9. So the first one is going on 9. Now, the way I'm going to start this is so that right up here, I have so that it's going to hit this line. So in the process of that, I'm aiming this down the middle between here. So it's going to start here, come around to here, or start here and go around to there. Now, that's where you could put more lines in, but I can pretty much eyeball and see that that's straight in between there. So I'm going to start down here. And I'm going to put my thread is like 4 yards long here, seriously. I'm going to put my thread in, or my needle in, on the line. And right at the template. So you can see it's pretty much right there. And I'm going to bring that up. If you guys have questions, let us know.
The set name is what?
The set name is Spin and Echo, I believe. And it is A-N, not and echo, even though I think that's what they meant. And the link is on the handout there. So I'm going to hold this in place and I'm going to stitch up to there. So I'm skipping 2 and coming to this one. And then I just move it over.
That's one very long thread you just pulled.
I told you it's about 4 yards.
Yeah, it is.
If I didn't have such a big spool of it, I would probably have wound that back up.
So they really like this spider and this one that you did. So I did put in there. I haven't found the link yet, guys, but I believe that was a Halloween online class in 2020. So it is in the backlog if you're interested, or it is on Donnell's YouTube page.
Well, I don't know what happened, Megan, but it doesn't like this thread. I'll try one more time. But it broke immediately. I would rather it break there and act up than when I'm almost finished with my project.
What thread are you using tonight?
It's a Floriani, 35 weight Floriani. I picked it out. Number one, it matched. Number two, I don't want my thread to be too obvious. So that lighter, well, it's 35 weight, not 30, but I think that that weight would be a good one for this. So we're going to see what happens here. So let's just go back. And I'm just going to start right up here. So I'll just make that so that it's out there. I can tie that off. Did you hear it? It broke again. So we're going to have to find another color. And Megan, right down there is a good big box. Not necessarily another color, but a different way to thread.
How about this? This is that olive color.
I think that's better. Oh my gosh, yeah, this is a better thread. You guys might not be able to see it, but that's going to be a better thread. So now I'm not using a 60 weight. I am using...
So do you think it was the weight of the thread that was the problem?
I know now what was the problem, and I should have never even tried it. Sometimes old dogs don't remember their tricks, I guess. The reason that this is breaking is because, number one, it doesn't say on it whether it's polyester, but I'm fairly certain that it is. And I'm going through 2 layers of the Templey-Fuse. That was not a good choice in threads to do that, because going through those layers, it just kind of shreds those threads off. So that's the deal. That's why it's not doing it. So give me a second here. And please understand, I didn't think about the fact of it going through that Templey-Fuse. And Templey-Fuse is usually more tolerant than even heat and bond. So definitely that's something to consider, because it may even be a rayon. I'm not sure. I don't know why it doesn't say it on the back.
I know a question.
No, it's not Floriani. It's Robeson Anton. So I'm pretty sure that's rayon. So that was really a bad choice. Go ahead, Megan.
I know you get this question all the time when you're doing template. Does it ever gunk up the needle or anything like that?
No. Those things are designed to be stitched through. Now, I will tell you, you can't stitch through regular heat and bond or the heavy heat and bond. That does not work. And it tells you right on the page that it's not going to work. So don't try something that's destined for failure. But I should have known, because especially since it's Robeson Anton instead of the polyester, that's a rayon thread, which is even weaker yet. So let my mistake be a lesson that you will remember and not try to do.
So before you get busy, does that mean you also need to change your bobbin?
I will, but I don't think I would need to be honest.
Okay. I can't
Okay.
know if you wound a bobbin with that thread or not.
Well, I haven't yet, but I did the other one, yes.
That's what I meant. I didn't want you to use the wrong.
Yeah, I wound it so it matched in weight and type. All right, we're almost there, you guys. And when you wind your bobbin, a trick I always try to emphasize, and now that I've got a little time here, I might as well say it. Don't wind it at a fast speed because it stretches it. You stretches your thread. Your thread remains stretched for however long it's on the bobbin. And then when you go to use it and stitch it into your project, no matter whether it's this or a garment or a craft or whatever, it will go back and relax and causes things to pull up. Got a couple pieces right there. I just don't want to. Okay. So yeah, there we go. And the thread that I'm getting ready to use is actually a better match anyway. It probably would have been okay to leave this in the bobbin. Well, I've gone in there 3 times to get a bobbin and never come out with one. All right. If I haven't told you this before, this is a Gutermann thread, and you can take this whole part out right here. And one of the advantages of that is if you're doing some hand sewing and you haven't broken this seal, you can actually keep your needle right in there with it rather than sticking it through like a lot of people do, which is not good for the thread. But that's kind of a nice thing to know about the spool, that it can be used to store your needle. You know, a lot of people, start like maybe you're doing some sort of a handwork and then you have to stop and you don't want the needle to be missing the next time you go for it. Lucky for us, this doesn't have a whole lot of stitching tonight, to be honest. So.
While that's winding, we have a question from Liz. How narrow can you go when using the binding tool?
Well, you can go as narrow as you want to go.
Well, she took a class and the vacuum tool didn't leave them with more than 1.5 inches on all sides.
That's what I usually use, is 1.5 inches. So you should be good. But you can also do 1 1/4. You could do 1. That's getting a pretty narrow binding, but some people like it narrow like that. And if you remind me, I'll show you the way you should do your hand stitching when you do that binding. That's an add-on binding, that when I would do machine stitching, so it really wouldn't matter. All right, I think we're ready to go again. Let's hope. Number 9. We're going to start out here the same way we did. Right down the center here. Come up to this spot. Thread my needle. All right. Line this up again. Get right in there where we need to be.
Do you remember what the numbers were on the 4 templates that comes in this set?
Oh, 1, 14, and 6 maybe? I don't know. Their templates are right there underneath this paper, I believe.
Okay, you sew, I'll find it.
Okay, I know you can't see that extremely well, but you can tell what shape I've done there. And I'm going to move to the next spot where that lays down there. This line is almost right in the middle. Right there, it's just a little bit off, but I'm just going to push it a little bit. And we're going to come to this point. I'm only rotating this so that you guys can see what I'm doing, because this is easily a design that you would not need to rotate to do effectively. But I want to check my lining up there. And you probably guessed it. In order to get as many of these as I have in that photo, I am going to be doing 2 rounds of this. So I'll do one and finish and start another one. Now this will probably happen to you at some point, and I'm going to show you how you can correct it. If you look back there, we've got an issue. It's not right in the middle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold this in place, stitch down to that middle, and then bring this back just a smidge. Now my line is pretty light here, so I'm going to just make it so we can all see it. So we get right to that line. But that is what you are going to do if you need to correct, so to speak. You're going to correct at the bottom. Looks like we're back in the right place here. Oh no, we're not going to have to do that, because right here's where we started. So it's going to be continuous.
I think you end up making like 3 loops around before.
Now this is another one that I'm going to stitch down to this point and then just move it slightly, hardly at all, but it will affect the size of this that I just did right there. Now, we might as well talk about this as we go. When we did this the first time, actually Megan designed it, so we were playing around with it. We went ahead and did the second set of loops. And then we found out when we went to cut it out, we couldn't cut the whole thing out. So what we will do is we'll do 1 set of loops, and then we will actually cut those out first. Now, Megan, am I cutting out 1 layer or 2?
For the first,
you're just cutting 1 layer. Okay, because we got 2 layers down here.
Like a sunflower, and the sunflower's colors
Dark in the center.
dark in the center.
I think you're right. I think it's 3 complete. And this one needs to be corrected just a smidge. And that's another reason that you definitely want to get your lines nice and straight.
I have a problem. I put the wrong. You keep sewing. I'll fix it. I put the wrong link up.
Okay, so here's the deal. We are now back to the beginning one. So I need to get my spacing gauge, which, believe it or not, I have neatly hung up over here on my little rack. Almost couldn't find it because it's where it's supposed to be. I'm sure that's not a situation you guys find. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch down to the middle. And then I'm going to measure this space here. And I would say it's not even a 30-second off, but I want it to be right on. So I'm going to pull that back and come right to that spot right there. Now, I'm going to tie this one because I really don't want it to show, but you can pretty much see that it would not make any big deal difference. I'm going to just go ahead and go over this instead of tying it off. Now, when I do this, I am going to take my needle up, and I have secured this by stitching back about 3 stitches and back forward. I'm going to come right in here, needle down, needle up, and when I pull up this time, I will be pulling up those bobbin threads, and all I need to do is clip those off right there. So there's nothing on the back, and the threads are secure. And so I don't know how well you can see what I have here. I can see that you can see some of it because I see it right here. So you can see what we've got. Now, what I need for you to do, Megan, is to go around to that other, never mind, I found it here. Okay, so we're going to take this out 1 layer. So I'm picking just a little bit of that, making sure I've not cut multiple layers. My first layer is brown, so I'm safe. So I'm going to do that. And then I like to use my 4 3/4 inch embroidery snippies to snip that out. And in talking with several people, some of them said they cut out a little bit and then go back and perfect it. You guys, that's the hard way to do it. Do it close up the first time, and you will find it much easier than trying to go back and perfect it. So there's what we have. And I'm going to try to work rather quickly here because otherwise we can't move on. So I guess right now is kind of open season. If you got questions about anything, what we're doing tonight or something else, I'll try to answer them because I can do that while I'm doing this. I will tell you guys that are in the Cincinnati area, in about 3 weeks, there is an OSQE show there. And if you've never been to one, I teach classes 3 days. Would love to have you. We have a lecture, and that's going to be about all the things that you use in Templey quilting and little hints and tips and demos and all of that.
Oh, somebody must be calling in. Let me go get the phone. You're calling in your questions tonight.
We have a phone only because to get our internet, we had to get a phone, and there's nobody that knows the number. In fact, we don't even really know what the number is because we didn't ever use it as a phone. But we're always getting calls.
Catherine wants to know where the cats are. Well, one is in her bed in the window asleep because the sunshine is coming in. But we haven't had sunny days in a couple days. And Boo Boo is wandering around.
If I were winding a bobbin, he'd be right here. Surprised he didn't show up when I wound it. All right.
Okay, so Linda asks again, why can't we move on? So Linda, if she were to move on right now, the second row actually comes and dips into this petal that she's making. Oh, they can't see what you're doing.
Well, I have to have it like
Oh,
this.
I can move it. That's a great question. So now that you can see what she's doing, if she were to not cut these out, when she were to
It would stitch over it.
It would stitch over, and then the petal would not be a complete petal.
Do you have the drawing there that shows that?
I do. So I'm going to cover your hands for a second.
Can't you just move the camera over there while I'm doing this?
Well, but then I have to move everything.
Oh,
So
right here's the picture of it. And you can see this is what we're working on right here. And this stitches over it. And we don't want to stitch over it because then we can't cut it out. So I'll try to be fast. This does give you opportunity to ask some questions. I didn't think about that when I was choosing this project for tonight, that would take some time. It does go faster if you just do one thing, like I'm going all the way around. So far, so good. When you're doing this, you need to have a very sharp seam ripper. And the best way to talk about sharpness in this case is right down here, because you need to remember we are also going through that heat and bond or template fuse. So hopefully I can cut these out real quick.
All right, so some questions have come in.
That's great.
Yeah. Hold on. They're coming in fast. I can't minimize the pin that I put on there. So I can't see all the comments. The size of the fabric, Janice, is 18 inches square. The backing fabric is a 22-inch square. Paula asks, you are using thread that matches the top fabric. Is that required for doing the 3 layers?
No. Megan can go over there and get a sample that I have that shows the difference when you match versus contrasting. It's that purple one, Megan, when you get a chance. Sometimes when you're doing it, the match just makes it so that all you're seeing is the cutout. In other words, it's not like it has a frame around it. Now you'll notice that I'm doing the same thing on all of these because it tends to be easier and you kind of get into a routine. And then when I turn it, I can go the other direction. And I find that people tend to cut a little bit too close to their stitches. So if you use your scissors, your snips, make sure that you're getting them kind of on an angle so that you have some thread or you have some space from there on. Now, I'm not sure why this one is smaller. I think when I get it done, it'll probably not show up that much, but so this is going to be a long cut. And then I can go from this side and finish it up. Now, for those of you that have done some of that where you throw pieces on a fabric, and I won't say a collage, but just kind of, then you stitch over them, these would be some you'd want to save because they already have the fusible on them. You know what, Megan? I bet it's in the pile that I brought back from Michigan. I bet it's not hung up yet. So you can see as I'm going around this, that one is starting to blend in after we get these cut. Okay, I'm going to move this over so she can get behind and show you. Show that side first. The first side of this is obviously a contrasting thread, and the other one matches. So you can see the difference. Neither one is right or wrong, but you can see the thread there. And on this one, it matches. So all you can see is really the cutout part. So you've got a comparison there.
Just showing again.
All right, thank you. If you've never done Temply before, get the right scissors before you even start it, because it will make it so much easier. These are curved on the end and they are super sharp. And they actually come with a cover for the blades, because it really is important to make sure they don't get dropped so that they, their nose gets blunt or whatever. I only have 2 more to go after this one. So we'll be ready to move on. Now we're eventually going to cut out the center, but I don't think it gets run over, does it, Megan?
What? I'm sorry.
The center.
No, the center does not get run over.
And we are going to use a larger measurement. There we go. So we've got the start of our sunflower here. And we are going to use, looks like my ruler got dropped. This on the center. And we're going between. So I've got to find the line that lines up. Here we go. So just because I want to make this easy enough to follow, I'm going to use a different marker here. Okay, I think I've got it.
Marjorie says there's 2 that look smaller, and I think you just didn't cut them all the way out. The one at like 12 o'clock there. Your petal at 12 o'clock.
Yeah, well, I'll get it later, but thank
You
you.
won't be able to because you're going to sew over it.
Okay. Can I do this first and then I'll get it? Now you notice I'm not marking all the way from the center because that wouldn't make a whole lot of sense because I don't need that. So now we need to go this way. Line that up, line that up, line that up. Okay. I'll see what I can do here to fix that. That's pretty close. There's not much to cut there. So my sunflower's just not perfect. That one has a little bit I can cut out. But again, not much. All right. So now what we're going to do is put that thumbtack back in the center. And this time we're going to make these so that they are between. So it's at 12. So to get them between, it'll need to start on the line there.
Did you say it's at 12?
It is, isn't it?
Yes, that's. I was just looking at my note and found that is correct.
Okay. My line's not long enough there. All right, so we're starting on this line because this is where one's going to go in between. Now, these will be bigger. And here's where they're going to sew through up to there.
So Carla, we are keeping the same thread color. Obviously, if you wanted to change it, you are more than welcome to.
Absolutely. So this is one that I'm going to come down and stop here and put it back just a teeny bit. And it looks like I need to make my line longer here. And remember what you're doing on this is like 3 times around to get it exactly back to start. It's kind of hard to even decide whether it's 3 or 2 or whatever because of the fact that it's as you're going around, it's kind of hard to figure out what you're doing. Which line do I need? This one. Well, guess what? I'm back to start.
Well,
So-
that was fast.
Well, but I don't have all of them in there. So this, when you go out to the wider, you're going to have to do it twice because I'm missing the ones in between.
Yes. We did like that.
So I'm right back to start here, and I'm going to flip this around and stitch back over it and do what I did the first time. So we're going to take this thread, needle up, pull it away, put the needle back in. As you get going more on this, you'll figure out when you can and when you can't do that, because none of us really like to sew those or bury those knots, but we have to. It's got to be in there. So now we're going to take this, put it on 12, and we're going to start on that line. And I think Megan showed you the paper that we drew. And actually, she's the one that designed this. And it's just so much easier when you have that so that you can figure it all out rather than just trying to work out the details on the fly. That's not the easiest thing to do.
We totally encourage you that if you draw them out or when you draw them out, to take notes on your paper. That's how we can go back and work as well. We put our arrow stickers on, so when we start on the paper, put numbers.
Yeah, we use the arrow stickers for more than just templates. Now, as you've been seeing some of us play with our templates, I know that Ann Moore did this yesterday on a class, and that is that you can put your templates on the end of your outer rim tool to make them farther out. And that creates kind of a paddle effect. So we're back to that start. And there we go. So I'm going to take this off.
So on the first go around on this one, Linda said you only skip 2 lines, but on this one we're skipping 3 in between. Is that correct?
I don't know what the deal is because of the fact that these have come over that other. So I'm not going to cut those at this time. Let's see, I got to pull this up first. I'm going to show you how I plan to finish this off. And I'm probably going to have to take one round of that out, and I'll show you up close what I'm talking about. It's not Friday the 13th, but evidently something is similar happening. Is it a full moon? I don't think so. Because for some reason, see how they're side by side and then it's empty. And I'm not sure why that happened.
Where'd you start?
So what I'm going to do next, I need my templates out of that closet there. I'm going to use my Circles on Quilts templates to make a circle around this. Surely I can't mess that up, because one of my students, when I was teaching in Dallas about a month ago, did this. You might be watching. If you are, put your name down on there so we can give you credit. But what she did was she did a circle around here and then did another one, 1/4 of an inch or a 1/2 inch away, and then cut off this piece. So at the outer edge here, we had all of the brown showing. So if that's you and you're out there, tell me. It was in Dallas. And she had some very, very, very bright, interesting fabric. So let's see here. I may be using the extension system here. Yep, I'm going to use 12. So what I'm going to do is I use my Circles on Quilts from the outside to the inside because that gives me a stopping point. So I'm just going to put this right in here and take my needle up. This is part of the bigger ones. This is like an expansion pack. And so we're going to just stitch, move it, and stitch. I failed at these templates, these Circles on Quilts, until I figured out to do it this way, because I was always falling out of my template. You'll notice I don't have stable tape on this template. You really don't need it. You can put it on there if you choose. Has anybody said that that was them, Megan? That I was referring to that had done this?
Renee? Renee put her name on here.
Was she in Dallas? At the...
Did not tell me that.
Okay. It was someone that was not necessarily from Dallas, but it was when I was at the Dallas show for OSQE back in August. Now I gotta see, I may be getting close to back to where I started. Oh, there's my thread.
The print on the top and the black on the back.
Yes.
Carol.
Well, Carol, thank you for letting us know. It was just so cool, and that's what I'm doing right here because you did it. So now I'm going to not cut, but I'm going to bring up my bobbin thread. And you can see I got right back to where I started. It wouldn't be worth it if you didn't. So I'm pulling that away, clipping it right on top. And now I'm going to do another row.
Okay, so Linda says, does it work better without the tape? And I think she's noticing that this template that you have does not have stable tape on it.
You can put stable tape on it, but I seem to do a little bit better without the stable tape.
And that's only because this one, guys, goes around in a circle and you're constantly moving. It's not, all the other templates you have stable
So
tape
ask
on
Carol if I'm doing a 1/2 inch or a 1/4 of an inch. What did you, Carol?
I think you just asked her.
I think I want a 1/2 inch. So I'm going to use the next one that's a hole. So it's probably this 13. I did 12. And the thing you have to remember, everyone, is that when you're doing this, it's a 1/2 inch on one side. If you go an inch, like I did 12, and now I'm doing 13, it's a 1/2 inch on one side and a 1/2 inch on the other. So you're only going to actually get, this is an inch, so you're only going to actually get a 1/2 inch. So, all right. We'll pull this up. Get back here to where we start. Megan, do you have my phone?
I do.
I'm going to find Carol's picture because I took a, can you, can I do that on this?
Yeah, you sew.
All right. Love my circles on quilts.
Is that Carol?
No. It's a picture of what we're talking about. It's that bright fabric.
This one?
No, it's that bright fabric that looks like a stained glass window.
Oh, okay.
So just so you know, Jane, she had your picture up. When I meet you at the shows, it was in Dallas, Megan, so it was back in a ways. So I'm starting to familiarize names with faces.
This one. Okay.
Yeah, so here it is, you guys. That's what Carol did. And she had that very busy stained glass fabric on top. So when she finished it, she was like, I can't deal with all of this. I'm going home and fix this. And the next day she came back and that's what she showed me. Is that cool or what?
So she cut out what would be negative space.
I
That's
guess.
cool. She cut out so that the black. That's cool.
And I'm sure that that was one of those things that she didn't have an idea what she was doing when she started, and it just evolved as you go. And that's really a lot of fun when that's the situation.
So Fran's got a question with this template you're currently using. Could you just push the template along the foot without having to stop and start?
I've tried that, and I suppose that you might be able to do that. I wasn't extremely successful with it, but you can give it a shot because obviously that's the way long armors do it. All right. So we are all the way around now, and that's going to get cut off or cut in there. I've got to go back and fix my inside ones. But Megan, I want you to tell me what color you want on the outside.
Oh, I don't know.
Because we can cut it off and leave it so that color's on the outside, or we can cut it off and leave it so that color's on the outside. So, well, it's a no-brainer that if we just do one and we don't like it, then we could do the next one. So just to get an idea what this is going to look like, you can see now it's just really kind of cool, the fact that you think, oh my gosh, I hadn't thought of doing that. And that way you've got your circle around there. And this little space right here, we can cut it out so it matches this, and it'll just have a little thin green rim there. Or we can cut it out so it's the different color, which would be yellow, because of the fact that we've got two here. So when you're in this situation, you can, I would not want to cut two layers of this at the same time. It's probably going to be a little bit rough because these scissors are not designed to cut two layers of fabric. I kind of like this. And then that layer, we could cut the yellow down to the yellow for that. Now you can see this, I didn't get quite enough off of there because it was not rounded. You probably think, well, she's going backwards. I think this way leaves me a little bit more between my cut and my circle of thread there. Now this you want to hang on to, you guys, because this has all got fusible on the back and can be used for something else. So just make yourself a little bin of the fusible part. And let's see, what more one do we want to do? Cut this out just a speck here so they can see part of that.
Whatever you want.
So remember, I said I'm not going to try to cut both of them at the same time. I don't think. We'll see. So see how that just gives you a thin area there? And I could have left this and cut the background of that out. So you have so many options with this.
Heather would like to know on what you're doing now. Could you use the small duckbill snips?
Sure. Yeah, the small ones, the little, what they call duckling. They look like this. And yes, that will work too.
Could you also use applique scissors?
These are, the duckling are the little applique scissors. I'm not sure I could get my bigger applique scissors in there, but these work too, as you can see. But it's just kind of cool to give that little frame right around there. So anyway, I wish I hadn't done that in the wrong way. I've got to figure out what I did incorrectly. And because I know if we count them, there's only 16, and I've already got 16, but I got empty spaces. So that tells me it actually goes over on this one, and I started on one of the ones that are too close here.
Yeah.
So
it's supposed to skip every 2 lines.
yeah, it's supposed to skip 2 lines. So I just got started on the wrong one, which means I probably didn't need those extra lines. I'm not sure, because if this one was here, no, that's the one I need, because this one I already did. So, and that's why I've got so much going through these that's not in the right place. So I hope this has given you a little bit of incentive to try not only just your circles on quilts, but to give some of those spin and echo a try too. So I'll show you again the one that I did with the spider, and you can decide which of these you want to do. I think we have several options there to play with. But this one is fun to just, use some fun threads, get your colors. I did this, and then we decided it needed a spider. We immediately went to the dollar store and found that fun little spider to go in there. And when I was at a show, well, it would have been up in Michigan, the Madison show, this got a lot of interest. Everybody was asking about it. And so anyway, you could do this same type of thing with your basic ruler. You would just turn it around this way and go. But you could also use the templates that I've been showing you tonight to spin an echo, because then you can start in here and just work your way around. So play with your templates, draw, have some fun. Think of some fun little things that you could make. Maybe your kid's teacher would appreciate something to hang on the, door at school or something like that. So I don't believe there's anything else I need to tell you tonight. So as far as I know, we'll see you next week. Have a great week, everyone.